Game 1 started with Yike, Hans, and Mickey using the early power of Draven Braum to invade Peanut's red buff and force a split map, which they then leveraged into a bot dive that could have been cleaner but was overall worth, as a kill onto Pays would make him miss a few minions, and the trade kill was picked up by the Leona. This play was immediately followed by a solo kill from Chovy, as Caps was unable to dodge the charm and a late flash was not enough to get him to safety. G2 further capitalized on the bot dive as a summonless Pays got run down and handed Draven his first cash-in. Realizing that bot lane was in dire straits, Genji focused top lane in the hopes that getting Doran's Fiora lead would counterbalance Hansama. Knowing where they were stronger, G2 took the first dragon and then tried to swap Hans and Mickey up to contest the Herald, but they were too late as Genji had quickly rushed it after spotting them taking the dragon. In order to not waste the rotation, G2 moved into the Genji topside, killing Peanut and zoning Doran away from his top tower. The game was then pretty uneventful until a fight broke out around second Herald. G2 had started the objective without top prio, and with Broken Blade stuck in bot lane, unable to match TP from Doran if it came in. G2 seemed unsure how to play out the situation, and a couple skill shots went wide from Mickey before Genji fully committed. A TP into the backline from Doran was accompanied by a perfect Leona ult from Delight, which stopped Caps from trying to peel Hansama, and the Fiora ripped him apart. Genji were in control of the game from then on, as Peanut showcased just how impossible it is for Draven to play the game against a Vi, launching himself into the G2 backline without a care in the world. Genji perfectly demonstrated how to play with a split pusher, as they first traded Doran's life for the Baron, and subsequently cracked open the G2 base when they tried to find another pick onto him a few minutes later. For a moment, it looked like Genji might have overstayed when G2 started to clean up a few kills as they attempted to leave their base, but then a TP from Chovy, who had reset for mana, shut the door on their fingers as he claimed an unofficial quadra-kill. Not much later, Genji ended the game after a fight mid lane resulted in G2 getting wiped. G2 started as the aggressors again in Game 2, as Mickey used his bot prio to roam mid and forced Chovy to flash defensively. However, the game would only go downhill from G2 from there. What looked like a pick onto Delight would actually become the first of many kills for Pays, as a slight disconnect between Hans and Mickey allowed the Blitzcrank to escape with his life. A few minutes later, Pays would get another 2 kills onto the G2 bot lane, before his team helped him dive Caps not once, but twice, in return for G2 getting the Rift Herald. A few minutes later, Pays had Yike pressing tab and asking who fed Aphelios as he displayed clean mechanics to solo kill the Viego under the top tower. Genji broke the G2 base at 17 minutes and Pays once again gale forced forwards to solo kill a G2 member, but this time it would cost him his life. This didn't slow Genji down, however, as they ended the game in under 20 minutes, making it one of the fastest international matches in history. Despite taking such a heavy beating, G2 came out swinging in Game 3, diving Doran's Malphite for first blood onto Broken Blade. At 9 minutes, Chovy handedly outplayed Mickey and Caps in a 1v2 mid lane, before getting a bit too cocky and giving away a freebie to G2 while trying to kill the Rakan. At 16 minutes, Genji pushed G2 away from the second Rift Herald, so G2 moved to the Dragon before realizing they didn't want to let Genji just run down the mid lane with Shelly. G2 saw their moment to engage, and kills onto Chovy and Peanut would allow them to pick up their second dragon of the game. A few minutes later, Genji started Baron, hoping to find a fight as G2 walked up through their jungle to contest, but Yike's perfect steadfast presence on Delight flash rel W, followed by an insane sidestep to dodge Doran's Malphite ult, wasted Genji's engage and baited them into chasing him under the tier 2 top tower. Here they were sitting ducks for the remaining members of G2 to take them down and then secure an uncontestable Baron. A few minutes later, however, Yike was riding his confidence too high and started what he thought was a pick onto Peanut, but none of G2's carries were in range to deal any meaningful damage, and Mickey and Broken Blade followed him to their graves. Not 5 minutes later though, Yike was once again the hero, stopping Chovy's attempted SOAS TP after overextending on side. This pick allowed G2 to run down bot lane, taking 2 towers and cracking the Genji base. Then it was G2's turn to bait Baron for a fight. Hansama tanked the Malphite R, knowing that no one else from Genji was able to follow up, holding his Featherstorm to dodge the rel engage, baiting Genji further into the rest of his team. While Hans would eventually fall to Chovy on the back end of the fight, the rest of G2 stepped up to shut down Pays just as the Zeri was starting to get online. Even though Peanut and Delight were still alive, G2 recognized that they couldn't stop them from ending the game, and took the series to Game 4. This time it was Genji's turn to get first blood off a great roam from Doran. He flashed to interrupt Caps' astral flight before chasing him down. However, G2 had now got some confidence back in this series, and Draven got a big cash out a minute later as Delight stepped a little too far up. It seemed as though Genji had forgotten that Soraka was in the game, as an attempted dive onto Broken Blade was turned around by some good play from the Kennen and the heal from the Wish, resulting in 2 kills for the EU squad. The game was quite cagey until the fight at 22 minutes looked like it was going to go G2's way after a beautiful poppy ult gave Yike free access onto Pays, who was then sniped by Hansama as he tried to escape, but G2 chased too far as Caps and Broken Blade didn't have the damage to kill Chovy. At 26 minutes, G2 set up for a Baron fight which seemed promising, but Broken Blade's flank was spotted by Doran at the last moment, and he managed to Cassante ult the Kennen away from his backline and get him low enough for the Super Mega Death Rocket to finish him off. The rest of G2 were now in a desperate position after trying to scramble to his aid, and in the end they were picked off one by one, and Genji secured the Baron. As Genji began to threaten the G2 base, Broken Blade saw an opportunity for a flank TP, but a perfect Lulu ult from Delight stopped the Kennen from reaching Pays, and ended the play before it began, as the rest of Genji destroyed G2 and ended the series 3-1.